Hello, welcome to Left Crew Politics, our first YouTube vlog. I am Rick Shew. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. We just recorded this great conversation, and we're using this software for the first time, and it didn't fucking record. So we are starting over, and we're half drunk because we were drinking for an hour talking, and I have a Le Fin de Monde, which is my favorite beer, and it's 9% alcohol, and I've about killed this bottle.
And I have Rondell. And let's just run through. What were you now on, Jeremy? Because you were at something else earlier.
I'm now drinking Basil Hayden's bourbon.
So
I had a tequila. I was on this, but as you can see, it's empty, which is what's going to make my conversation a lot more interesting in this second round.
It was a great conversation, and it was our first show,
man.
so I have no idea what's going to happen now, but we're going to give this round two. So hopefully you're seeing this. Hopefully. Because if this one fucks up, then we're going to try again later.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm Rick Shew. My partner in crime here, Jeremy Gruhlkey.
That's me, the handsome one.
That's right. And Michael
His
Malloy.
third time now saying it correctly, because he said it his first two times correctly on the earlier recording. He almost got away with it.
I've known Rick for 20 years. That's only the second time or third time he said my name correctly. He can't even spell my first name. It's Jeremy.
I know, it's funny. I like it. I don't even want to learn how to spell it. It's comical to me. Michael Malloy is not with us, but we have a great guest, returning guest. Well, returning meaning he's been on our podcast. Introduce yourself, sir.
So I'm Matt Rogers. I'm a chief of staff for a state senator, so for a state legislator, and I also own a political consulting firm called Politidope Inc. You can find me on Twitter at Politidope, and you'll learn more about me and my values and all that through this conversation. And
so we came across Matt on Twitter. If you're not following at Politidope on Twitter, you should be enjoying the 40,000 plus people that are now following him, which is quite impressive. But what I loved about Matt was, as I started to follow him and watch, he wasn't or isn't just some guy running his mouth about politics online. He is out really making a difference. He and his wife both. He walks the walk, and he's a very impressive guy, and we're very honored to have you back, man.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us on our first, show.
Show. A happy hour version.
Ooh, I'm half drunk. Okay. All right, guys. Half. The world is on fire right now with coronavirus and the shutdown. What's that?
It's half on fire as well.
It's half on fire. Everything's half. Half. Eddie Murphy. Take half. Anyway, 80s reference there. It's all right. Like I said, we're half drunk, but half. Hey, Jeremy, nice eyes. So we the world's on fire with coronavirus and the shutdown. It's affecting us all in different ways. I'm going through a lot of personal stuff right now in conjunction with this, so it's like a really difficult time for me. And I'm in the hospitality industry, and so that's obviously things are with restaurants and hotels is we're in a lot of trouble, and so it's very stressful and depressing, and it's like my passion, right? So please go to rallyforrestaurants.com, by the way, and buy a gift card for a restaurant, any gift card. Just support it, hashtag it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, Rally for Restaurants. But what I'm going through, even the magnitude of some of my personal things that I'm going through in my industry, I am still okay. I still have income. I don't know personally anyone that's passed away, and it's probably coming. And it's not really hit the Dallas area, this is where I live, that hard yet. But the magnitude of this in certain areas, particularly in New York, is just gut wrenching. And it's and to put it on perspective, it helps me put things in perspective for myself. But it's a very tough time for me personally. It's a very tough time for the country, hell, the world. So I just want to kind of do a roundtable thing here. We'll start with our guest, Matt. Matt, how is the coronavirus and the shutdown? What's the thing that's most impactful in your world as a result of this pandemic?
In my world, like you said, it hasn't really impacted me yet as of yet. Timestamp it with 4:55 Eastern Standard Time
on Easter Sunday.
In terms, I haven't met anyone who, or I don't know of anyone who has died in my circle. It kind of just reminds me that the work that I'm doing is important. and kind of trying to fight for working people and to try to pass laws and things like that help people that work for a living. It like yourself, and it's important. But it's really scary. It's kind of anxiety. It drives a lot of anxiety. But I'm sure I'm part of the vast. I think honestly, if most Americans were given a truth serum, if they would be more relaxed right now or less relaxed if this was going on, they would. Like 80% of Americans are like, they would honestly say that they're a little stressed right now.
Yeah. Knowing people, what we talk about, what are we at now? Is almost 7 million, just shy of unemployment claims that have come out as a result just in the last
in 1 week.
Yeah, in a week. That's I can't. I mean, it's my company. I won't say their name on here because I have a day job. It's in it's in hospitality, but they're an amazing company. But they had to lay off 50% of their employees, and I know a lot of really good people just in my world alone that lost their job. And then my new bar that I'm having built, my partners on that bar, they have two. One, they had to shut down. They're hopefully they'll reopen. I believe they will rally. Their other one, we're just doing takeout, trying to just get by and survive this. And I think they're going to be one of the lucky ones that I think both places are going to end up surviving, but 50% of restaurants won't come back. And again, it's not, I don't mean to be myopic here. It's much larger than just the hospitality business. It's everybody, but it's just the world that impacts me directly. And I just, seeing people lose their livelihood or almost lose their livelihood is it's a very difficult thing to witness. Jeremy, what about you, man? Out in, and Matt, real quick, you're outside of DC, correct?
Yes. I live in Arlington, Virginia.
Okay.
So I'm a Virginia person.
I'm a Virginia person.
Jeremy already drank a bottle of tequila in our botched episode. So where are you at? You're on a bourbon now, right?
I'm on bourbon now. Yeah, I live in California. I live just right in West Hollywood, California, across from the Grove. It's sort of central Los Angeles. I moved here from Texas in 2006 after doing some backpacking and traveling, and so I grew up in Texas and now I live in California. I feel pretty lucky to live in California. My brother lives in Amarillo, Texas, where we grew up. He's still having to go to work every day. They have just, maybe a week and a half ago, they instituted more of a sort of a lockdown, a shutdown order, but he works for a car dealership. And even though he's not in service, he's in sales. Technically, transportation related services are still an essential service. And so he still has to go to work most days. California, we've been locked down before most of the rest of the country, before everybody else except for New York, who didn't lock down early enough. I do feel lucky to be in California because they took things seriously early on and educated the populace and took the steps that were necessary, even though they weren't popular. And so because of that, we don't have the same volume of spread that they do in some of the other states, and their states that still haven't locked down because they haven't, we don't have it here or whatever they're saying, but it's coming and they could have stopped it, So California and San Francisco actually has a more densely centric population and a higher population than the entire state of Oklahoma, but Oklahoma has more cases of the coronavirus than San Francisco does because San Francisco locked down even earlier than the entire state of California did. And so I think it's important to understand how much of the social distancing is really helping. So in my personal life, I'm a personal trainer. I was in restaurants for a long time as well. That's sort of how I know Rick, but I'm not taking clients. I stopped taking clients even before there was a lockdown, just because. So now the way it's affected me most is I'm home all day with my wife.
Yeah. Oh, are you doing any, like my girls are still doing their dance lessons and everything. They're doing a lot of stuff on Zoom, much like we are now. Or you have clients you're doing?
Yeah, I do. I've offered all of my clients to do like video, like Zoom sessions. Most
Cool.
of them don't want to do it. But I do have an online platform that I use to deliver programs to them. So everybody's getting programs that way and continuing to work out. So I check in with them frequently to make sure that they're, 90% of what a personal trainer does is just make sure that you're doing the shit that you're supposed to do. Like, I come and I stand there and I make people sweat. And then at the end of the workout, they say, oh man, I feel so great. And at the beginning of the workout, they say, if you weren't here, I wouldn't be doing this, you know? So there's a disconnect that I don't understand. That's like, I know I feel great when I work out. So when I wake up in the morning, I can't wait to get to the point that I work out. But 90% of my job is just making people do the thing that is going to make them feel better. So
Shifting gears here a little bit, because there's no really good segue talking about people's grief and agonizing realities. But is there a more fuckery moment in American presidential history than the way, and again, I apologize, this is going to be rated R here because now I'm just killed a bottle of 9% Lifindamon, but that motherfucker, man, and his response to this and tweeting constantly about his ratings, about the ratings of his press conferences, which, by the way, with the exception of when the experts are speaking, is an hour to 2 hours of him standing there with a stream of consciousness that's 99% absolute bullshit. And then he goes, and there's not a single tweet that I have found other than him retweeting something his wife tweeted out about caring about the victims, the 20,000 dead Americans, the 6-7 million people now out of work. Not one single tweet from him about those people whatsoever, but he has sent out up to 4, if not more at this point, about the ratings of his press conferences and how they're more than Monday Night Football and The Bachelor. The man has angered me. I used to get angry with my wife watching him in 2004 on Celebrity Apprentice. And I was like, how do you watch this asshole? So I've never liked him, just FYI. But, you know, ever since the birtherism and the Mexicans are rapists and ban Muslims, etc., he's angered me in ways that I've never known, that kind of like the white hot intensity of 1,000 suns, kind of like, you know, real visceral anger. But there's something about this episode, and maybe because selfishly I'm personally impacted by it, so that's just human nature. But help me out here. Is there a bigger fuckery moment in American presidential history? And it's probably, if it is, it's probably his anyway. Matt, help me out here.
So I mean, I just feel like this is our moment. This is all of our moment to be accountable. Like, to us, yes, it's worse than anything that Bush did. And Bush, all of us would pick Bush today in a walk if the election was Bush, and Obama was a far better president.
As long as Cheney wasn't there, I would in a heartbeat. If Cheney was there, I don't know.
It's still close.
It's still close. But it's that bad. That's our barometer, right? That's our frame of reference.
I would take Bush Cheney over Trump Pence.
Yes.
99.9 times out of 1,000. Like,
has Trump Pence?
They're both awful.
But is there anything worse than going into Iraq though? I mean, the way he's mishandled this pandemic, I think is certainly one now that you could say yes. But prior to this, I always said, you know, the Iraq War was still that still kind of holds the cake for me.
That the most frightening part about it is it kind of interrupts our election. Like, I would be someone who is right now kind of doing some canvassing and like knocking doors for whoever it was, to, like, you know, prime people, get them ready to vote in November, make sure people were ready to go vote. If he does win, it is affirming for so many things that are just so disgusting that I don't know if we could come back.
If he wins a second term?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know either. What are the ramifications of him winning a second term beyond even just the Supreme Court, which would be profound in itself? But and I don't mean to sound cheesy here, but truly to the soul of the country and to the American presidency as a whole as well, because he's already altered it. If he serves another 4 years, I think the damage is permanent.
Yep. Because it's been affirmed. It's been said, like, the American people saw this and they wanted it.
Right. Perfectly stated. It's rewarded. Right.
Yeah. What always comes to mind for me is that we get the government we deserve because we have a chance to observe every potential candidate for office and then cast a ballot, right? But it goes beyond that because it's not just about what we're willing to vote for. It's about how we're willing to have the conversation and what we're willing to talk about and what we're willing to accept from each other and what we're willing to accept from media. And for like the past 30, maybe 40 years, the media has been on a steep downward slide of sensationalism over substance. And we have endorsed that by providing them the ratings and by going off into our different, MSNBC versus Fox News corners, which I don't want to equivalize the two because they're very, very different. But we've endorsed this idea that what we're really looking for is the most sensational diatribes that we can find, as opposed to the most informative arguments and substantive discussions. And we're willing to go into our tribal instincts, and we're willing to ignore the actual substance and the conversation and the factual information, and allow the media to take us down one road or the other. And that's how we got to the point where it was either Trump or it was Hillary's emails. You know what I mean? And the fact that Hillary's emails were given as much validity and substance as they were, and Trump was given as much free airtime as he was, like the media today, every news show was driven by what did Trump tweet today? He didn't have to do anything. It was what did Trump tweet today? And let's spend an hour on Hardball or Jake Tapper talking about what Trump tweeted. And that's not the way to have an informed populace. And we accepted that.
We did.
But I tried to reject it.
But I don't just mean like we, like us as individuals.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
The country,
I get it.
right?
Yeah.
We were willing to allow that.
We talked about this on the last episode.
For a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, the show you guys did together was really good, by the way. What was the title of that episode, Jeremy? Do you remember? What'd you call that?
One? Corona Apocalypse or something.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So yeah, if you guys, this is just going to be on YouTube, this show, but please go to Libsyn or wherever our podcasts are all over the place, Stitcher, iTunes. And Matt's been on twice. Great episodes. I hosted one. Jeremy hosted another. But anyway, neither here or there. I mean,
but
it's significant. But I'm just mean in terms of the magnitude of this discussion.
Trump and coronavirus. Like I think sometimes about how, like, and this goes into what we've decided we're willing to accept based on our tribal instincts. But like, I think about how Dan Quayle misspelled potato once. And like, suddenly he was too dumb to be president. And yet we're willing to accept from Donald Trump misstatement after misstatement after misstatement, and completely, like, he's up there. It's so surreal. I tweeted this the other day. It's so surreal to watch him in these briefings every day talk about things that we all already knew and have known for decades, as if they were amazing, brilliant discoveries, like viruses evolve and viruses aren't the same as a bacteria and viruses are outsmarting the antibiotics and things like that, as if they're brilliant new discoveries that have just happened within his administration, because it's the first time he's learned it.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
Very literally the first time he's learned it.
Yes.
He doesn't know anything about.
He's not dumb, and that's what I've always felt. That's why I don't hate anyone, but he is ignorant. He actually, I think he was born actually an intelligent young soul, but he was coddled into ignorance, and now a blithely ignorance, like a wanting ignorance of fact. Like the world is what I imagine it to be. It doesn't matter what the truth is.
Well, he's a conspiracy theorist, and he's intellectually lazy. He's inherently smart. I agree with that. To say otherwise, the man's president of the United States. Okay,
he's intellectually lazy. He's intellectually incurious, but he does have a sort of like a carnival barker's, con man's sensibility for taking advantage of people's vulnerabilities, and he can identify a vulnerability in a certain segment of the voting population that is easily manipulated with conspiracy theories and disinformation. And he doesn't, what he says this week doesn't matter compared to what he says next week, because they just accept with whole cloth with whatever the current circumstance is, whatever Trump is currently saying.
He's now, to your point, he's now bashing Fox News because they're actually trying to be somewhat honest,
because they're trying
there's
to get
aspects
sued for selling disinformation to the entire population that views them, and now those people are fucking dying.
And now he wants to, by the way, I have little girls, so all this stuff here. He's promoting, is it pronounced OWN? I've never actually watched
One America.
Yes.
Oh my God.
One America.
One America News Network.
I mean, that
We
is,
have such better alternatives now than Fox News, One America News Network.
I mean,
I almost shit myself.
it's fucking, I mean, I don't watch it, but I follow them on Twitter. I see their commentary, their content. I'm familiar with it. It is just barely not as bad as InfoWars. Just barely.
Barely.
And that's what he's promoting now, because Fox actually has some people, like they fired Trish Reagan for her whole.
Oh my God! Can I just say they fired Trish Reagan, but there's this video out recently of Kayla McEnany and Trish Reagan talking about what a great job Trump is doing, and coronavirus is nothing to worry about, and it's a Democratic hoax, and it will never come to these shores, and Donald Trump is doing a great job. And what I will say is Fox News fired one of those people, and Donald Trump hired the other one.
And Sean Hannity still has his job, who, by the way, should have been fired years ago, and certainly should have been fired for
what does he have on Rupert?
Ratings.
What does he have?
Ratings.
Yeah.
Ratings. That's it. Ratings. Bill O'Reilly had the same ratings. There were just enough credible sexual misconduct that they had no choice. But Hannity isn't quite there. And they say something about Sean Hannity. I used to be an ops director for a steakhouse group. I was in the ops upper management group. And I won't obviously say their name, but he would come into one of the locations, and this is the part that drives me nuts. Extraordinarily gracious. And he tipped 100%. So, for instance, there was a server, delightful young lady, and the tab was $5,000. He tipped $5,000. And just a complete gentleman if you meet him. Charming, polite, very friendly to restaurants. I guess he used to be a bartender. And to know that side of him, I don't claim to know him. I don't, but I've been exposed to him in that way. It's infuriating because just a little bit that I know about him on a personal level, and that's a stretch, even saying personal, but you get the idea. And he's not dumb. He's certainly not dumb. He's a very talented guy. All of this is for money. All of it.
Yeah,
he doesn't believe this
they're
shit.
playing a character. When
they're
they
playing
go
a character.
They're playing a character. They're not trying to be informative in any kind of way. They're not trying to be judicious or have any kind of journalistic integrity. They're playing a character. It's a total performance. But the problem is that the population that they speak to has absorbed that performance as if it's reality.
Yeah.
And so they double down on the performance, and it gets deeper and deeper, and they're going further and further down the rabbit hole. And they've drug a certain segment of the American population down that rabbit hole with them to where they think the delusion is the reality, and they're completely divorced from reality. But to them, it's whatever is happening, liberals are doing the wrong thing, because no matter whatever Hannity or Limbaugh or whoever said 6 weeks ago or 6 months ago, they can say the exact opposite thing today, and they're listening.
They're doing it now with the Corona stuff, Jeremy. I mean, juxtapose the comments that Hannity says tonight or tomorrow night, technically, versus what he said a month ago, and he states that he never said that. And it's
Trump
up is down.
Trump does the same thing, and they're willing to accept it. And so when you talk to people online about it, or even in person, what you get from them is, he's getting new information every day, so what he's saying each day is going to be different. But no, you can document the information that he had at time X and what he was saying at the same time. They don't match up, right? So when he was saying it was a hoax, when he was saying it was basically the flu, when he was saying it was nothing to worry about and the cases were going to be down from 15 to 0 in a really short time, when he was saying that shit, We now know that he had been briefed by multiple members of his own administration and multiple members of the intelligence community and the WHO and the CDC about how serious this was, and he chose not to take it seriously. So they're willing to ignore all those facts as just liberal bullshit, or the Democratic media is just out to get Trump, and he's doing the best that he can, and we're just trying to undermine him, and it's all our fault. And it's just total nonsense.
It's total nonsense. And by the way, something that doesn't get said enough, if ever, is that I like when MAGA has tried to spin the hoax thing. Like, he was just saying that about the Democratic negativity towards him or whatever, that he took it seriously. I'm like, he said it at a rally with 15,000 people packed in one room. And this was after the China travel ban. After he knew,
like, this is something
that's where he said it, where a place he shouldn't have fucking been, period.
This is the thing that gets me the worst. Like, that's what pisses me off the worst. They work the refs, and I've been a coach for years, so I've seen people work refs. They work the refs, and the refs have been worked to the point where the refs already are proactively on their side, and they still continue to get worked.
Right? It's bananas.
Like, he had Khashoggi, or he didn't have Khashoggi, but he's still hanging out with MBS.
Yes.
And doesn't care that he was hacked up with a bone saw, a real journalist.
Yeah. This week he tweeted, "My friend MBS. My friends in Saudi Arabia." He's still referring to them as my friends. These people who we now know hacked up a journalist and carried him out of a hotel in suitcases.
Ugh, unbelievable. Okay, let's shift gears here real quick. Because we can talk about Trump all day long and his lack of response to this. But the last few minutes we have left, let's talk about Biden and the fact that he's going to be the nominee. Okay. We can have another podcast about the contrast with he and Bernie and all that, because that'd be an hour conversation. But Matt, just real fast, are you comfortable with Biden as a nominee, and are you comfortable or confident that he can win this election?
I think that he has to make sure that this coronavirus, now it shines a spotlight on the fundamental inequalities in our country, and it allows him an opportunity to have a more expansive view of the country and the role of the federal government in responding to the needs of working people. And I think that if he leans into that, he has the possibility to get near 350, 360, 370 electoral college votes, and can win the election, will win the election. If it just becomes a tit for tat where Biden versus Trump, and they're both old guys, and Biden really tacks too closely just to the tries to triangulate and try to calculate the very middle of the electorate, we could be ending up with a Kerry Bush election where either one of them could win 270 to 268.
I think the race is 50-50 on that note. I really do, to this day. Jeremy?
I think presently it's a 50-50 shot for whether he wins. And, I agree with Matt a little bit that, this idea of chasing the center is a bad plan. We need to work on unifying the party. I think that it's going to be difficult. There are going to be people within the party who are going to, the left, the hardcore Bernie bro type people or whatever. And I'm a Bernie supporter. I like Bernie. I wish the Democratic Party were embracing more Bernie's vision than the centrist vision. Biden was definitely not my first choice, but I think that if he focuses if he focuses on policy, and if he focuses on people as opposed to focusing on Trump, he has the chance to win in a landslide. I definitely think that he can win.
I do too. And I'm not a fan of Joe either. I mean, I think he's a good dude. He's uninspiring, and he carries a lot of baggage with his voting record, and the fact that he's been in the game way too fucking long. And by the way, Matt, I saw your sweater with Warren. We were all Warren dudes. She's fabulous. But you know what? The same thing I'll say to the Bernie crowd. She didn't win. She didn't even win her.
Yeah, exactly.
She didn't
exactly.
She
it's
didn't garner
fine.
enough votes. Right. It is what it
No,
is.
She didn't win. I
exactly.
will say that like the reason like she started going down when they had that little Bernie and she had that little
Yep.
spat during the debate. Like I don't want to get into it too much. It bothers me a lot the way that went down.
Yes.
They both handled it really, really poorly,
Yes.
in my
yes,
opinion.
they did.
But,
We have to talk about this. This has to be another because this is a good
it should be another
conversation.
podcast.
I agree with you.
I want to talk about why Elizabeth Warren is not going to be president of the United States, because she's the obvious choice for the most competent and capable person to fill the role at this point.
But they made strategic errors.
Yes, they absolutely made strategic errors, and the way they both talked about it, it infuriates me. Both of them, the way they both did it. So I don't like.
Well,
like I said, we don't have a lot of time left on this podcast, but maybe we could do a whole podcast just on that.
Well, one of the things that she didn't handle well is the fact that she has a vagina, and she really needs to do something about that.
Yes, that's the point. Like that conversation, that these people who say like she was trying to undermine Bernie by bringing this stuff up, that conversation could only hurt two people, and it was her and Amy Klobuchar at that point. And it was going to hurt them no matter what. They were both trying to avoid that conversation no matter what. So the idea that she drove this idea that they were going to talk about whether or not a woman could be president, the idea that was going to benefit Elizabeth Warren in some way, is absolute and total bullshit. But then
it was the wrong time.
Totally.
Wrong,
but then when it came out, she didn't handle it well. She could have totally handled it better than she did, and Bernie Sanders could have handled it better than she did.
They both buckled under the pressure. Someone had to get out of there. It was a situation where that came to a head, and it didn't come to a head.
And I will say, if Bernie Sanders had decided not to run for president this time and Elizabeth Warren were running, I think she would be the nominee right now. And that bothers me a little bit.
Listen, I agree. I think she would tear Trump apart in a debate. I think she's the most competent. And listen, I did a 180 on her because I had a lot of issues with her even a year ago. And I really came around and started really paying attention. And I threw her in that kind of crowd of, you helped, Hillary lose, and the Bernie crowd, but that's not who she was. And then I had an opportunity to meet her. The third left crew guy, Michael Malloy, and I went to saw her in Dallas, and she was really gracious and hung out and talked to us. And I just fell in love with her. I thought, you're so dynamic and dynamite, but she's not the nominee. It's Joe. But we all agree, though, that Joe has the ability to win this thing. We have a few minutes left because I don't want to risk anything with this software that we're doing for the first time, because we're not going to lose this episode. So, people say that vice president. Good
call, Rick.
Yeah, people say vice presidents don't matter. Yeah, pretend like this is live TV, guys. We have 3 minutes and 54 seconds. They say VP picks don't matter, and I think in a normal world they don't, but I think in this world they do.
I think they matter a lot.
Yeah, I think they do as well. Statistically, it's said that they don't, but whatever. But I think in this election we can definitely throw that shit out the window. It absolutely matters in this election for a variety of different reasons. Obviously, he's going to choose a female, as he should. Jeremy, I know you and I have different opinion about this. I want Kamala Harris. She's tough. She's confident. I think she would chew Mike Pence up in a debate. And I think that look, it's politics. I think also having an African-American woman is a powerful message to send about the Democratic Party. We had the most diverse group running ever, and we ended up with Joe Biden. So we have to send a message that we're inclusive, and that's my personal view. So just real quick, we'll go around. And Matt, who's your choice for VP?
You were asking Jeremy, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm going to shift gears.
Jeremy,
I disagree on this. It's not Kamala for him, but Jeremy, who is it?
Right. No, my first choice would be Elizabeth Warren. I think that there's some things you have to consider with the Senate seat and all of that stuff that are involved there. I wouldn't mind if Kamala Harris were the VP. Amy Klobuchar is not my favorite person. But I wouldn't mind if she's I understand the reason she might be picked, but I think that when you're looking at Biden, and the reason the Biden is the nominee is because of the black vote and the black female vote. So I do understand why there would be a problem with, oh, hey, thanks black people for supporting me and making me the nominee. Here's your nice Midwestern white lady as my vice presidential pick. So I get why, but the black community was not supporting either Kamala Harris or Cory Booker. Now we can talk about the reasons for that and what they see as electable and what they would prefer and what they think the rest of the country might see as electable, and so why they were choosing who they were choosing. But to me, it really is. If it's one of those three women, I don't care. Stacey Abrams, I would prefer over all of them, to be honest with you.
So Stacey Abrams is your top choice.
Yes.
Okay. Kamala Harris, Stacey Abrams. Okay. Well, actually go. Matt, who's your top VP choice? The producer's in my ear. We have a minute left. Matt, you're on live TV. We're about to break the commercial.
Kamala Harris, because Elizabeth Warren. If Elizabeth Warren is chosen, then the Republican governor of Massachusetts could appoint a Republican senator, which could stop our public option, which is going to be our healthcare plan, when the Democrat wins this November.
All right, we'll end it there. Where do people find you on Twitter?
Politidope, POLITIDOPE.
All right. Follow us, Jeremy and I, and Michael Malloy, Left Crew Politic. At Left Crew Politic on Twitter, because that fucking that character limitation. Go over on Facebook, and obviously you're here on YouTube.
Don't go over the recording time, Rick.
No, we're not going to do it. Listen, hey, guys, thanks for all your support, and thank you for listening to our first YouTube vlog, Left Crew Politics. Vote accordingly.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.